Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is the Life Signatures Radio. It's a daily podcast focusing on the subjects of purpose, productivity, and resilience. It's a teaching podcast, actually, if you're looking for something that is going to teach you, instruct you, give you some motivation, some inspiration, something to chew on in terms of your mind, and some questions to ask yourselves, and some things to ponder on, some themes and some topics to ponder on the issues of life itself. Then this is the show. It's single hosted. It's me, and all along we've been doing quite a bit of episodes on different topics, and right now we are in a series. We're talking about reputation, aren't we? We're talking about how big reputation is. We've been at it for quite a while, and we've been looking at how important it is in the different aspects of life. But right now we are focusing on talking about the 7 ways to disfigure it. If you're curious enough and you've built a good reputation and you wanted to know how in the world am I going to mess it up, this is how I'm helping you to mess up your reputation. Okay, I'm helping you to know how you can mess up your reputation so that you can arm yourself against that mess. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So, ladies and gentlemen, even as we have done this over the past 2, 3, or 4 episodes, let me just give you a recap. We're talking about 7 ways to disfigure your reputation. And the first thing we talked about very powerfully, actually, is that when we veer off our values. We said very powerfully that your values are a promise that is broadcast to the world, and therefore they have an expectation. When you stand for integrity, it is expected. That's a promise. You're promising people integrity. Now, when you stand up and you veer off that particular value, your reputation is at stake and it's lost. People become, I thought, why? You know what I'm saying? They are confused. There is lack of consistency and integrity in your value of integrity. It's lost. It's eroded. And therefore, people lose reputation. You lose your reputation. They lose respect for you. Secondly, the same thing. You veer off your promises and commitments. You say, I will do this, and I will do this. Why did you promise to do it? See, a promise, when given, is taken hook, line, and sinker. And a promise is not just a promise. People don't just look at a promise. Inherently, they look at the promiser. What is the integrity of the promiser? What is the character of the promiser? The guy who is saying, I will. What is his character? His character is staked to his words and his promise. Now, if you fail to deliver on that particular promise, what happens? Your reputation is lost. And we even talked about these transactions that we have with landlords and so on. You signed up a contract with your landlord and you promised to pay at the end of every whatever. You did that, isn't it? It's a promise and they are expecting delivery on that particular promise. And we say that your reputation can easily be lost when you do not deliver on the promise. You knew you were not going to deliver on the promise. You didn't deliver on the promise. And you didn't warn the people who are expecting your promise. You did not warn them that things have gone haywire. Probably I might not be able to satisfy and fulfill my promise. You didn't warn them. Your reputation is at stake, it's at hand, and it's gone. Therefore, they can't trust you. They can't give you extra time. But let me tell you something. Chances are, sometimes we normally feel like if we report ourselves that we're not going to make our promise, we're not going to make good our word, we feel like we are going to lose whatever. And so we don't. We don't report ourselves. We don't come clean. And the problem is that is even worse. You would rather come clean and face the consequences. But let me tell you, you might be thrown out of the house, whatever thing might going to happen. But it's not just the house alone, but your reputation will stay intact. They'll remember, that guy is a good man. It's a good lady. She told me this before. She warned me that she knew she was not going to fulfill her part of the bargain. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, the third thing that I want to talk about is this. If you wanted to mess up your reputation, if you wanted to really mess up your reputation, do this. Slack on your capacity. Slack on your capacity. Now, if you ever were to earn a little of mediocre, if you are able to earn a little of mediocre title, it will be because people are aware of your capacity. They are aware you are able to deliver much more than you're delivering, and you are not delivering. They call you average. In fact, they call you mediocre. Because they know this is not the Lawrence we know. This is not the Tony we know. This is not the Alvin we know. This is not the Shamsa we know. This is not the Juliet we know. See, you have gone down on your potential, down on your capacity. You are capable of doing X, Y, and Z, but you are not pushing yourself to do it. People know. People know. I mean, you've already treated them one way or another with that particular capacity, and they know you're able to deliver much more. And now you go and you do something substandard. You lose your reputation down there, especially if you continue on that particular trajectory. Capacity is something that we all have. Potential is something that we all have. And we have all been blessed with different types of skills, unique talents, giftings, and passions. We have capacities. We all have these capacities. It so happens that the potential that we have comes in the form of a seed, not yet fulfilled. It comes in the form of a seed, and it can be a hint here and there, but for the most part, the people you interact with are able to see the potential. They're able to see the promise that you do have, the capacity that you do have, the capability that you do have. People are inherently humane enough to give you time to develop that capacity to full fruition. However, as time passes by, like I said earlier on, people look at you and look at what you're doing and look at your capacity and look at your potential. They weigh against each other, that which you're doing against what you could do. If you're doing nothing to develop that capacity, you're doing nothing to develop that potential, they count you amongst the mediocre. And that's your reputation right there. I mean, they even get angry, mad, seriously mad about you. There is nothing that makes humans mad when they know there's a potential that could be fulfilled and it's not. You lose your potential. I mean, you lose your reputation right then and there. The world always expects something from a human. That's a given. Always. And we all expect fruit out of potential. It is like the law of nature to expect fruitfulness from all living things. I mean, it's even so obvious we don't even hassle about it. We just do expect, especially the human. So when people see that you are slacking on your potential and you are outrightly lazy with your potential, they tend to develop a low reference to you. And that is how you soil your reputation. How many people do I know? How many people have I interacted with that are filled with incredible potential, but they are outright lazy? I mean, you are in their presence and you do things together and you are shocked. I mean, you're seriously, my goodness, you are surprised. But then they just lazy bones, potato couches. They just sit there, they do nothing. I mean, it makes you mad. And let me tell you this, when that happens, you do not want to engage with those guys. It makes you furious. You do not want to do business with those people. You do not want to do projects with those people. Because they have spoiled their reputation. They have spoiled their reputation with what? With laziness, with mediocrity. Not that they are. You see, this one thing to distinguish between those people who can and those ones who can't, depending on different levels and capacities that have been given. If you are not able, we understand, by the way, we will not judge you by what you are unable to do. We will judge you by what we know. We know for sure you are able to do it. But you are not doing it. You make us angry. And let me tell you, your reputation goes through mud. It goes through mud. Nobody ay. Your reputation increases, by the way, through leaps and bounds directly proportionate to how urgent, how consistent, and how fervent you are in developing the capacity, the potential, the gifts, the talents that God has given you, and the passion that you do have. And every time you do something towards developing your capacity, people appreciate. Okay, of course, again, on the other end, people hate. Because you're reminding them that they could also do the same thing. You get haters, but also your reputation goes up. You don't need to worry about the haters. They're always going to be there. They're always going to be there. Every time you do something towards developing your capacity, people will appreciate. People will take note. Silently, even though they are hating on it, silently, they will give you the psychological scores in their minds. And that's how your reputation is enhanced. But every time we know you have potential, and we see you next time, you've done nothing about it, just the mere average, what happens to us? We lose respect for you. Right? And that's how you lose your reputation. That's another way that you can soil your reputation, and that's another way you can disfigure your reputation, by doing what? Slacking on your capacity. Tomorrow, we're going to look at one more way that you can be able to mess up your reputation. If you're interested, you're going to stay tuned. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.